Get that water out of the goddamn huddle. I tell you when you get a fucking water break.
Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer Podcast. This is Ralph Phillips.
I'm Molly Bay.
Today is November 19th, 2019.
We got the Saints film review today. You got it done all in one day.
Yay.
Which I'm very impressed with.
Yay, Ralph. Haven't got the video done yet. It should be done by the time you're listening to this podcast or this afternoon or whatever. Wednesday evening, afternoon most likely. Anyhow.
So what'd you think? What'd you see?
That was very interesting. I enjoyed watching it.
Really? Because to me, I would have thought the opposite. I don't want to watch it again at all.
I watched the game, I think about 3 times already. Well, but then I watched the All-22. It's definitely a different feel on the All-22. What were some of the things we said are instant reaction from the game?
It was just an ugly game. Everyone kind of played bad. The defensive line wasn't really getting any push. The running backs were non-existent. Yeah,
and I think towards the end we had said that the coaching, that we got outcoached. I would have to put that at the top of the list now after watching the All-22. We definitely got outcoached.
What makes you say that?
They came in with an interesting game plan. They changed a lot of their looks up, especially on the defensive line. They did a lot of unique stuff to confuse us and to actually play to our weakness. Our weakness in our blocking, despite what everybody says, it's not our offensive line. And our offensive line didn't play bad in this game. Kappa gave up 3 or 4. He got beat 3 or 4 times. Donovan Smith got beat 2 or 3 times. You know, and there was some stuff here and there. But other than that, that was it. I mean, they played well, I thought.
And to put that in perspective, how many snaps do they play? Like 60?
Right.
50?
Right.
So 2 or 3 bad plays in 60, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, even the best offensive lineman is going to have 2 or 3 bad plays a game. You know, it really all does depend on what point in the game it is, how crucial it is. You know,
context, when they make the mistake.
Yeah, context matters. But our biggest issue with blocking is our running backs. What we do is we leave our running backs in for pass protection quite a bit. And then they'll shoot out if they're not needed in protection, they'll shoot out and be a check down option. Make it so Winston can throw to them if they have to. Well, the Saints took advantage of that, and what they would do is they would have their guys lined up at the line, a bunch of them, say, 7 guys lined up at the line, and they would have the 2 linebackers up there. They'd have 3 down linemen, and then they would have a linebacker or a cornerback or somebody, or a strong safety generally up on the line too. So they wouldn't know where the pressure was coming from. Well, what they would do is when the ball was snapped, the 2 linebackers would act like they were going back into coverage. And then one of them would turn around. It was really interesting. I showed it in the video. They would actually jump the linebackers. They'd be facing the line of scrimmage, and then the ball would be snapped. They would jump and turn around like they're facing the sidelines. Just long enough so the running back would think that they're not going to blitz. And then one of them would turn around and shoot up the gap. They did this so damn much. I pointed it out 3 or 4 times, and I just got tired of pointing it out in the video. I was like, yeah. And they were targeting our running backs in pass protection. Not only that, they had number 22 and number 21. These are the 2 main guys. 22 is a rookie. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he plays strong safety. That guy's a beast, man. He would come flying in, usually from the left or right side. He'd be off screen to start the play. The ball would be snapped. You'd see him come flying in, and he blew up those running backs, man. I mean, he'd come in full speed, hit them square on. He knocked Dare all the way back into Winston one time. He was a handful. But they would sometimes what they would do is they would have that strong safety blitz or rush in, and they would have a cornerback, normally 21, Patrick Robinson. They would both come in from the left and the right, outside, the tackles. You'd have 3 down linemen that would push forward. The 2 linebackers would fall back into coverage, but those 2 guys would come zooming around the edges, making the running back have to decide who to pick up, which one to pick up.
So they're not great at blocking one player. So what they do is have them block 2 players.
Well, they have them decide which one to block. And a lot of times,
either way, if there's another one open.
A lot of times what would happen is that the running back would decide to block the guy coming in from the left. Well, the right tackle doesn't know that. So the running back would run over to the other side to block that. The right tackle's thinking the running back's behind him, so he doesn't block that cornerback that's zipping over because he figures the running back's got him because the running back was lined up behind him. They really confused the hell out of our running back. That was their main goal defensively, and that was totally coaching, man. I was really impressed that they identified our running backs were our weak link, and they targeted our running backs this whole game.
Ugh.
Yeah. I know, I hate to admit it, but Sean Payton's a damn good coach, man. But it wasn't just on defense. So on offense, too. Now, we all know that Drew Brees likes to dink and dunk.
And that's, frankly, our weakness on defense.
Yes, and I'm going to say this, and people are going to get mad at me. Our secondary played well. The biggest, weakest link is the biggest, weakest link I've talked about all year long. Devin White in coverage. He gave up over 100 yards.
Oof.
In passing. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but that Michael Thomas 41-yard catch and run, that was Devin White who was supposed to be covering him. Which they were working Michael Thomas and Ted Ginn around to get them lined up with Devin White a lot. All that Kamara yardage he got, that was Devin White. Devin White was supposed to be covering Kamara. And, Devin White made some decent plays. He had one good tackle, and, he's trying.
I think he had his career high that game as far as tackles
yeah,
go.
I think he had 10 or something like that.
No, I think it was 13.
Yeah, well, it was because they were throwing. It was his guys that were catching the ball, and he would have to tackle them. He didn't tackle Michael Thomas, though, on that 41-yarder. Kamara caught a first down at 13:24 in the first quarter. That was Devin White's guy. That was his responsibility. I told you that Michael Thomas, 41-yarder. Well, not shortly thereafter, he gave up a 15-yarder. To Michael Thomas again. Yeah, they were...
Do you think they were picking on him?
Yeah, I think they see that the guy's not the best in coverage, so they were designing plays to match up with Devin White.
Mike Evans was saying that they did the same thing to him that they did the first game. Did you see that?
No, I didn't really notice. They bracket over top. Most teams will try to bracket. They play a cover two, and they fudge one guy over towards wherever Evans is at. But, it wasn't necessarily double coverage. Winston didn't look all that great. He didn't look horrible. He did throw 51 times, and by the end, you could tell he was just hurting and tired and all that good stuff, but he was still out there like a trooper. He had a couple of times, especially in the second half, coming right out in the third quarter, where he just got happy feet for no reason. There was nobody within 5 yards of him, and he just started scrambling, like getting all hectic, and he started doing that. But the New Orleans offense in the first half, they were just lighting us up with those dinking and dunking. And their whole thing is to get it in their hands of their playmakers and then let them get yards after the catch.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just doing it for us. And that gave our defensive line had no opportunity to get to Drew Brees. And towards the end of the game, they looked like they were just kind of like, oh, well, screw it. We're not even going to try, really. I'm not saying they weren't trying. But it nullified our defensive line.
Which is one of our strengths on defense.
Right.
It is our strength on defense.
Yeah, it looked to me like they targeted Edwards and Devin White on offense. There was a couple plays I showed on the video where you could definitely tell they were targeting these guys. Drew Brees would lock in on whoever was on one of those two, and he wouldn't even turn his head. He would just follow him the whole time and then throw it.
Why didn't they have Jamel Dean in?
I don't know. I think they wanted Edwards to get some try out there. BA said that they wanted to put Jamal Dean. They just never got a chance. They were looking for certain packages and stuff. So Winston, at the second half, our offense, we changed up our offense, and we started doing the dinking and dunking. And Winston's just not that good at it. He's just not quick enough. He's the kind of guy, he likes to drop back, 7 steps and then just chunk it downfield.
And to be fair, that's Cutter's offense, is these long developing routes. So that's what he's used to.
Yes, and I will say that about our offense. We just did not have enough stuff underneath for Winston to check down to. It was actually driving me crazy. We would have, a 2nd and 6 or, a 3rd and 8 or something like that. We'd have all of our receivers going out, to the sticks. And there'd be nobody underneath for Winston to check down to. Generally because they'd be blitzing. Running back would have to stay in and block. And there'd be nobody for Winston to check down to at all. And to me, that was bad offensive planning. But they started in the second half. They started trying to do the dink and dunk. But Winston is just not primed for it. Drew Brees has been doing this for, 19 years. Drew Brees will go 1, 2, 3, throw, without even thinking.
And they're a well-oiled machine. They've been consistent. They've had a lot of the same personnel for years. They work very well together.
Yeah, mistake-wise, they're kind of like Seattle. They just didn't make that many mistakes. They made more mistakes than Seattle did. Actually, the Chris Godwin touchdown was a mistake in their secondary. One of their guys got confused about who he was covering. But, Winston started doing the checking down stuff, and he's just not used to it. And he looked very uncomfortable on it, and he would hesitate, which is, you can't do that with that type of offense.
He's definitely not a quick decision maker.
No, not at all. But the first play of the third quarter, Winston, he scrambled for absolutely no reason. And Perryman, I'm pretty sure it was Perryman. I couldn't read the numbers. Those color rush uniforms are absolutely impossible to read those numbers on all 22. But Perryman was wide open deep. I was so upset about that one. I mean, he was wide open. The safety saw him right towards the end of the play, and the safety was a good 20 yards away from him. And you saw the safety kind of freak out and start running over there. But Perriman was 40 yards down the field. There was nobody around him.
Was there a lot of that receivers that Jameis didn't see?
No. I think maybe 2 or 3 times. They were in crucial situations, though. But yeah, on that play, Jameis scrambled for no reason. There was nobody near him. And he looked like a chicken with his head cut off back there in the pocket and to run around. And he actually almost got sacked. But as he was going to the ground, he threw the ball. It should have been intentional grounding because he threw the ball. It landed about 5 yards away from him. I mean, there was a receiver about 10 yards away. But, I mean, it looked to me like he just threw it in the dirt. But it should have been intentional grounding. But he shouldn't have did that scrambling. I mean, you get frustrated watching that mess. I mean, there was nobody near him at all. And he just
seeing ghosts.
Yeah, seeing ghosts. And another thing about those quick passes is our receivers are not used to them. I mean, Mike Evans dropped a pass wide. He was wide open, but he was only like 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. It was for a first down. I think it was our first drive in the third quarter. It was right in his hands. He's not used to catching the ball that close to the line of scrimmage, kind of like with O.J. Howard, too,
Oh, O.J.
So, yeah, I would definitely say we got out-coached. Our guys didn't play bad. I really surprised me. I was expecting to see us just get manhandled and beat up and guys making mistakes all over the place, but there really wasn't. It was just we just got out-coached in this game.
I just wonder how the game plans are being drawn up. I think that BA is involved in that, but we've had a few games where I'm like, we just weren't, this game plan just doesn't really make sense for what we're dealing with here. Yeah,
it was that way on both sides of the ball. The defensively, the game plan just didn't match up with what. And Bruce Arians has said this when you play division games, everything they're going to do. It's really just about your man beating their man. Because you've seen these guys. Teams don't change that much from game to game what they're going to do. Well, New Orleans defense did. I mean, they still ran cover 2 shell a lot, but their front 7 was just all crazy. And I'll say this: I haven't watched their all 22 throughout the season to see if they do this normally. But if they do, we were caught off guard by it quite a bit, so we didn't do good film study. So one of the two.
And they didn't do it the first game that we played them.
Yes, right. So I think that they just went in there with basic packages and just expected our guys to beat their guys one-on-one. And I think New Orleans came in with some specialty stuff.
They were looking at how they could exploit our weaknesses.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you do that as a coach? It's very confusing to me.
I think most coaches do. I don't know. I'm not a coach. I would if I was a coach.
But Byron Leftwich, you might be able to give him a pass because he's a first-year offensive coordinator. Maybe. Although he's still got Bruce Arians there who's supposed to be involved. But Todd Bowles, there's really no excuse for it on his side of the ball.
Except for that his secondary is young. His secondary is young and his front 7 are old.
Maybe, but then don't you kind of plan around that?
Yeah, you would think. But I think they have, it's like, Byron Leftwich has a decent game plan designed for his players, except for the tight end. I really like what they're doing with the offensive line. We don't move around a whole lot. It's basically zone blocking, straightforward. We'll do screen passes. We'll do some pulling and some scraping and stuff like that. But we're not moving around a whole lot like Cutter had his offensive. Those guys were basically out there doing pirouettes every damn snap. So he's playing basically to his receiver strength, to Evans and Godwin, and he's playing to Winston's strength. He's not doing enough unique or trickery stuff. Now, we had some stuff at the beginning of the year that I was like, I really liked, but we haven't done any of that like the past few weeks. We're doing really simple stuff, both offensively and defensively. Defensively, I can understand because, we got so many young guys back there. We were doing some crazy stuff at the beginning of the year, but the stuff that New Orleans is doing now. But we stopped doing that. Don't know why. I don't know if it's because, we're too young in the secondary or what, but it doesn't seem to be helping. But yeah, New Orleans, they came out there with some crazy stuff. We were given crazy looks. We would show man coverage and then post snap, we would drop into zone and vice versa. We did that, but it's Drew Brees. You ain't going to fool him with stuff like that. With Drew Brees, you have to do like Atlanta did, to screw up his offensive line and get pressure on him, and stick to those receivers, right? The first 10 yards are the most important thing with Drew Brees because he's going to check down quick. But like with our defense, we would play, sometimes our cornerbacks would play off coverage. They'd be 10 yards away from the receivers. Drew Brees would just take it. He would snap the ball and immediately just turn and throw it to that guy. The guy would run a quick slant or a hitch. Boom, there you go. It's an easy 5-10 yards. Drew Brees would do that all day long. I can't tell you how many. I would say easily half of his passes were 1-2-3 throw. They were just those short dink and dunks. Hell, I can't even remember if he threw one more than 20 yards. I don't think he did, to be honest with you.
His arm was so tired towards the end of the game, too.
Yeah, he was throwing some ducks. So we just got outcoached. They came in prepared, exploited our weaknesses. We just tried to do the same stuff we always do, and they ended up beating us over the head with a club, basically.
Now, we are BA fans. We were excited about BA being hired, but we also were one of the few people that said do not fire Dirk Cutter.
Right.
And it was because coaching changes rarely change anything. Right. And this is a perfect example of that. For the better. Right. Yeah, for the better. This is a perfect example of that. This is the same stuff that was happening last year. Mm-hmm. It was like, we're so predictable. Yeah, we're doing too simple of stuff. If you didn't know, if you just woke up from a coma and watched a game, you would think it's pretty much the same thing. We can't stop anybody on defense. We're putting up a lot of yards and points, but, we're throwing a lot of interceptions, and it's, basically routes that are, 10, 15, 20 yards down the field. No running game. Yeah, if you didn't know any better, you couldn't tell there was a coaching change that had happened. Sue played pretty well. Oh, really? Yeah. Because that's not what I've heard on Twitter. Right, I know, yeah. Well, the first play, he got a hit on Drew Brees, caused him to throw a bad pass. Very first play. And when I say he played well, he played probably the best on the line. Him and Barrett played about the best, but they just didn't have the opportunity to get there. Drew Brees would get that ball out quick. And when you've got, we just didn't come at him from angles. We didn't disrupt the line. We just didn't, the Atlanta Falcons did a great blueprint for how to beat Drew Brees, and we didn't follow that blueprint. So does it get better from here? What do you mean? The season? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. I had said, that we're pretty much mathematically eliminated. Well, we're not. Oh, my God. We can still, listen to this. We can still get the 2 seed. The numbers, yes. If everyone else loses out? There's a lot of stuff that would happen, but it's still possible. And we can still make the playoffs if we win out and the Vikings lose out. That'll just get us in as the... Like a wild card. Right. But yeah, we're going to need a crap ton of help for any... But, after watching the Saints game, I was like, I don't even want to go to the playoffs with this team. Yeah. And I hate to say that, but every Sunday it's a different... we're not consistent enough. Sometimes, we can beat any team out there, and we can also lose to any team out there. And we got to remember, we just got beat by probably the best team in the NFC. We forget that. They came in our house and they beat us. It wasn't a beat down in the sense it was 47-3 or what was it? What was it the Carolina Panthers score against the 49ers? They just got shellacked. We have not had one of those games yet. Yeah. And we played New Orleans, probably the best team in the NFC, and they were all healthy except for Lattimore and their left guard, which didn't seem to hurt them any. I'm just so perplexed by this team. I just don't even know what to make of it. I don't know what the problem is. It's kind of our biggest fear coming out of the offseason because there was that question, what if Bruce can't fix it? And thus far, nothing's different. I don't understand.
It is very perplexing, isn't it? I don't know what to do about Jameis. I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't think getting rid of him is going to help our team. You know, who do we have to replace him? That's always my question. Who do we have to replace? You know, when people say we need to cut this person, I'm like, well, yeah, but you got to replace him first. It's like quitting a job without having another job lined up. You're just going to be unemployed. So, you know, until somebody can come to me and say, hey, we could get this quarterback or, gosh.
I'm not even a fan of drafting quarterbacks either.
How many quarterbacks have been drafted just over the past decade that have just flashed and burned or just totally crapped the bed in the NFL? It's so hard to get a good quarterback. And, you know, we got a quarterback is the best quarterback we've ever had. I was looking at Jameis Winston's turnovers. You know, that's what everybody's talking about. Turnovers. Now, in this game, we know the O.J. Howard interception. That wasn't his fault. That was O.J. Howard's fault. I think the other three were his fault.
I think BA came out and said that.
Yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense then. He overthrew Evans towards the end after his foot was hurt. That was intercepted. He threw a pass into a double-covered Godwin. That was intercepted. Oh, and then he threw that fade in the end zone. That was intercepted. Now, I don't know if I could say that was Jameis Winston's fault there because Mike Evans said after the game that he heard a whistle blow, so he basically stopped. And that's where he was yelling. What happened? What happened? He was talking to the refs. He was like, what happened? What happened? You know, he heard a whistle, so he says.
And it looked like he was yelling at Jensen. I think was the play where Jensen snapped early?
Yeah, which is another thing. Both of those snaps happened in the end zone, right on the end zone, right on the goal line. In our stadium, it was too loud. Jensen said he couldn't hear Jameis Winston hype.
So what you're saying is those two bad snaps were on the fans?
Yeah, I'm going to say that.
I want to bring up that
New Orleans fans showed up. They were loud as shit.
Okay, last episode I said there were black seats. And you were like, oh, I don't think so. Well, you saw it on the broadcast. You said black. They're pewter.
They're gray, man. That's
okay, they're dark.
Yeah, they're not red.
They're dark gray.
But
it looks like a faded black to me. So anyway, that was just
Isn't
a side
gray
note
just faded black?
Shh, quiet.
Faded black.
So I'm just saying that.
That's funny.
A little side note. I wasn't wrong.
Their O-line, the Saints O-line, they did a lot of that quick holding stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Like a grab and release.
Yes. And, the refs screwed up again. You know, there was quite a few of those plays that they didn't call. There was the 4th and 1 where Evans caught it, and they said that he did the pass interference, which was complete BS because it was within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage. But even worse than that was the guy that was defending him was over the line of scrimmage before the ball was snapped.
Completely over, by a yard.
Yeah, and there was
right in front of the line judge.
The line judge 5 yards away from him, staring at him. And then there was the 4th and 1 where Drew Brees jumped over the pile, stuck the ball out, and then pulled it back, and they gave him first down for that.
Right. Like it was forward progress, but then he kept going. You don't get that second chance.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the officiating wasn't as bad as the first New Orleans game, but it wasn't all that great. They let a lot of holding slide. We started doing holding too to make up for all the offensive line holding that the Saints were doing. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't that blatant. I mean, some of it was bad, but they just I only recall 2 or 3 holding penalties in the game. I mean, they just let that stuff go. We should have taken more advantage of it. They did play with more spark, had a little bit more energy, a little bit more oomph to them, but not as bad as I thought. Our defense was chugging it. They were especially after that 4th and 1 that Drew Brees jumped over the pile. Man, they were pissed. They were mad for that series. Yeah, we ended up stopping them, and I think they kicked a field goal. But it was 3rd and 1, and we stuffed them. And then it was 4th and 1, and we stuffed them. And, man, our defense was jumping up and down, hooting and hollering and all that. And then, in all 22, it doesn't show much. And then the next scene, it shows them, and they were just – you could just tell they were pissed. And on that play –
seething.
Yeah, that's the play where Vita Vea just threw his guy to the side and went straight for Drew Brees and almost got him. Yeah, Vea was pissed. Everybody was pissed. They felt like they got robbed, and they did. But there wasn't a lot of normally in these things you'll see pushing and shoving after the play. You'll see guys throwing each other to the ground. Especially our guys, we like to throw people to the ground. Vea, Nacho, Golston.
Jensen,
Kappa. Kappa had a couple good ones. in this game. But other than that, it was really a calm game as far as that's concerned. Not a lot of jawing and bickering. And
Well, I wish there had been more of it.
yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I say our guys didn't play with as much spark, because normally we're all up in that mess.
So how do you feel about the rest of the season? Are you optimistic or is it a wash?
Oh, I think it'll be a miracle if we go to the playoffs.
Well, I don't have any expectations that we're going to the playoffs, but do you think that we can finish on a more positive note, or is it just kind of all downhill from here?
Well, we're getting ready to go into the Dirty Bird Stadium, and those guys are playing fierce and mean.
And we've got to play against Dirk Cutter, who knows Jameis inside and out.
Yeah, and the way that the Falcons' defensive front handled the Saints' offensive line, they're probably going to do the same damn thing with us. Just cause a lot of havoc up front and just make Jameis panic. Gosh, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I mean, I could see where this becomes a team where guys are just playing to get film, you know. A lot of these guys aren't going to be here next year. You know, I keep saying that, but I'm not exactly sure who's going to be here and who isn't. If it was up to me, I'd keep the whole damn team. But I don't think we're going to be able to afford everybody. So I think I could see where this becomes more of a, job interview for the rest of the season. I don't know. I don't know how Bruce Arians is going to feel about coming back, to be honest with you. I mean, if he's not fixing Jameis. Jameis isn't fixed, I mean, you could actually make a case that Jameis is worse. And, Bruce Arians might be like, screw this mess,
Too old for this.
Yeah. Although I do think he set it up to where he doesn't have a whole lot of stress and pressure on him.
Right. We touched on that last time.
Yeah. But talking about the turnovers with Jameis Winston, and I'm not a Jameis Winston apologist. I'm a supporter. I recognize the guy. It's just he makes bad decisions. I think he tries to put the ball in bad spots way too often. He doesn't see the field. He focuses in on one guy, and he knows who he's going to throw to before the ball snapped. And even if they send 5 guys out, he's got a guy he wants to throw to. And he gets a happy feet. Those things haven't been fixed. But I was looking at the interceptions. Now, he is leading the league in interceptions right now with 18. He's got like a 4.4 interception percentage. That's horrible. That's really horrible. I mean, he throws an interception like every 25 passes, basically is what it boils down to. So I was like, gosh, that seems pretty bad. So I went back and I looked at him compared to all the highest pass interception people that have ever been in the league. George Blanda holds the record from 1962. He had 42 interceptions in 1 year, 1962. Guess who's second? Vinny Testaverde with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In 1988, he had 35 interceptions. Now, mind you, Jameis Winston has 18. I doubt if he's going to reach that mark of 35. I know he's not going to reach 42. Then it goes on and on and on. You've got Peyton Manning, 1998 through 28 interceptions. Eli Manning, 2013 through 27 interceptions. Drew Bledsoe, 1994, 27 interceptions. Brett Favre, 2005 through 29 interceptions. And I'm skipping over. I'm just picking out the names that, are pretty big. Of course, Joe Namath through 28 interceptions twice. Warren Moon threw 26 interceptions, 1986. Eli Manning, 2010, 25 interceptions. Vinny Testaverde, 2000, 25 interceptions. Brett Favre, 1993, 24 interceptions. Terry Bradshaw, 1970, 24 interceptions. Johnny Unitas, 1966, 24 interceptions. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 2011, 23 interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger, 2006, 23 interceptions. Dante Culpepper, 2002, 23 interceptions. I mean, this list just goes on and on and on. There's a lot of guys that have thrown a lot of interceptions, a lot of good guys. Guys that have gone and won Super Bowl, some of them multiple times. They've thrown a lot of interceptions. Phillip Rivers, 2016, he threw 21 interceptions. That was just a couple years ago. So, I'm like, yeah, Jameis Winston has thrown a lot of interceptions. He's a turnover machine, basically. But his 18 interceptions so far is really not that bad in the grand scheme of the league. It sucks to have him leading the league in interceptions, no. So then I was like, okay, well, Drew Brees, what was he like? What is his interception ratio? Okay, here's Jameis Winston's interceptions. In 2015, he threw 15. In 2016, he threw 18. 2017, he threw 11. 2018, he threw 14. 2019, he's thrown 18 so far. So that's 76 interceptions in 64 career games. Started 66 games total. So then I went back and I looked at Drew Brees, who we all know, fantastic quarterback. All right, In 2002, it was his first full year starting 16 games. He threw 16 interceptions to 17 touchdowns. That was his second year in the league. The next year, he only started 11 games, 15 interceptions, 11 touchdowns. Then the next year, he only threw 7 interceptions to 27 touchdowns. That was a good one. Followed that up with 15 interceptions the next year, and then 11 interceptions, and then 18 interceptions, and then 17 interceptions, and then 11 interceptions, and then 22 interceptions, and then 14 interceptions, then 19 interceptions, and then he's throwing about the same amount of interceptions as Jameis Winston is throughout his whole career up until 2017. He's thrown double-digit interceptions every year except one in 2004. But don't get me wrong, I hate Jameis Winston's interceptions. They drive me crazy. I just wish he would just be more relaxed and calm back there, man, and to throw the ball away if it's not there and start looking for these open receivers. Stop getting happy feet. Make quicker decisions. So anyhow, Jameis Winston's whole interception thing is not that bad, really. When you look at the big picture, I mean, it's horrible when you look at it. Oh, he's leading the league in interceptions right now. Yeah, that's horrible.
And I think that's magnified by the fact that we're losing.
Right, yeah. If we weren't losing, we wouldn't be talking about any of this.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be talking about how great Shaq Barrett is, and how great Vita Vea is, and how awesome Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are, and how great our offensive line has been playing. You know, and it's really just a few plays here and there that would be making the difference. Now, yeah, I still think we're a good team, and I'm watching all 22, and we're matching up with these guys. I mean, it's not like we're just getting our butts handed to us, or we've got guys that are just, wide open out there, like we did with that Mike Smith offense or defense. We've got, our guys are covering well.
And we don't have people loafing.
No, not a whole lot of loafing going on. Nope. So, I still think we're a good team. I would like to see this team stay together and, try it again next year. But we're not finished this year. I got to stop thinking like that. Yeah, I mean, we still do it. We can still do it. It's a mathematically possibility, so therefore I'm rooting for it. Screw a draft pick.
So what's the best that we can do is 9-7.
Best we could do, 9-7. That next week's game's going to be fun against Atlanta. That's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy that game. JPP was basically useless in this game.
Like on purpose, or they just neutralized him?
I don't know. I don't know if he was hurt or what, but he just did not play. I mean, they were blocking him sometimes with a tight end, and he was not able to get around him. I don't know. I don't know if it was a game plan where they just had him setting the edge. Don't know. But he did not do a whole lot. He was about the most useless one on the line.
That's strange.
It was very strange. It's uncharacteristic for him. Now, he wasn't even getting in on tackles. So I found that strange. Donovan Smith did get beat twice. I want to say both of them were in the fourth quarter, late in the game. One was the 91, Troy Hendrickson. That's the one. He's the one that rolled up on Winston's ankle. That could have been holding on Smith, too, because he did grab that guy. That guy straight up beat him. And so Smith just reached over and grabbed him. I think he got him by the horse collar and yanked on him. Caused him to fall down and fall on Jameis Winston's ankle. And then Donovan got beat by Cameron Jordan one time for the sack. Other than that, he played well. And it's funny because, you listen to the podcast, you read the articles, you look at the forums, everybody's just crapping on our offensive line. And I just don't see it. I mean, I've seen bad offensive lines. This is not a bad offensive line. A lot of it is, Jameis Winston scrambling when he doesn't have to. It gives the appearance that he's under pressure when he's not under pressure. And then also our running back's not blocking effectively. So, I mean, they did pick up a few blitzes, but generally I just don't like it when they're back there. When I see a guy coming in and they're back there and they're going to pick him up, I'm like, oh, crap. Like I said, Kappa had a few bad plays where he just got flat out beat. But he had a few good plays, too, that he messed some guys up. But, yeah, generally it was just I would put game planning and coaching at the top of the list, man. We just got outcoached. I think we went in there expecting a fist fight, and they outsmarted us.
That's frustrating. Because, again, I feel like they have the capacity to match Sean Payton. So why didn't they? I feel like the coaching staff could.
Yeah, I do too. Don't know, man. Don't know. Like I said, I think they just... they were like, we've got our game plan that we're going to stick with. It's basically what we run all the time. And they expected the Saints to pretty much do the same thing. The Saints were doing like we do. They were moving their receivers all over the place. I mean, sometimes Thomas was in the slot. Sometimes he was out side. They did quite a few tricky plays, too. We actually got caught on one. It turned out not be that big of a play. I think Kamara picked up a few yards, but our defensive line fell for it, which is very, very rare for us. We're a very, very smart defensive line. Football smart, anyhow. Be to be learning. And but it looked like they were going to hand it off to, I can't remember who was in it, but it looked like they were going to hand it off, but instead Drew Brees did like a fake handoff, and then he just pitched it to, I think it was Kamara. And nobody saw him pitch it because they all thought he was handing it off to the first guy. So Kamara was able to run around. I think he picked up like 7 yards. It didn't kill us, but it just stuck with me because I was like, oh, damn, our defensive line got fooled. We never get fooled.
They just had a hard time seeing it because he's so far, so tiny.
It was a neat little play, though, man. I mean, he went to hand the ball off, and then instead of handing the ball off, he just did like this. Like, people on the podcast can't see it, but he like pushed the ball out.
It was like exactly what Drew Brees did, guys.
But they ran more trickier stuff, and their defense was much more tricky. They were confusing the hell out of us on that line. Like I said, they were coming from all different directions, and those linebackers, I really enjoyed watching that. That was interesting to see how the ball would be hiked. They'd be up in the A gap like they're going to blitz. The ball would be hiked. They'd back up and jump in the air and spin facing the sideline. And you could see the offensive line and the running backs would go, oh, okay, they're going back. They're going out into coverage. So they would all turn their heads and basically ignore those linebackers. And then one of them would turn around and shoot right up the gap. It was really neat. I liked it.
So what, they were just standing there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they would back up when the ball was snapped. Sometimes they wouldn't be right up on the line. But anyhow, when the ball was snapped, they'd back up and turn like they're going into coverage. Not turn their back to the quarterback, but turn sideways. And just enough to where the line and the running backs would go, okay, well, these guys aren't coming in to rush, so I'm not going to pay attention to them. I'm going to look elsewhere for a threat. And sure enough, one of them would turn around and just shoot straight up the gut. And then those guys coming from the edge, that strong safety, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I really like him, man. How do the Saints get all these guys? I just don't get it, man. They really coach them up well, I guess. And then Patrick Robinson, they both did really well rushing the quarterback. That 22 would just, he would come flying in. He'd be off screen. The ball would snap, and he'd be like a missile. It reminded me of Whitehead. Just come in full speed, slam right into the running back, blow him up.
What did you think about our physicality in this game?
It wasn't horrible, but it definitely wasn't what I want to see. Yeah, we
really dropped off in that respect since the beginning of the season.
Really have. I don't know if it's our guys are getting tired or just lack motivation, or I don't know. We had a couple instances where we just had poor tackling with 7:51 and 7:09 in the first quarter. Just bad tackling between 45, 34, 39, 34, and 26. 34 was in there twice. That was Edwards.
He took 2 cracks at him?
It was 2 different plays.
Oh.
But yeah, it was just poor tackling. They were trying to tackle Kamara at the ankles. You just can't do that.
No, he's hard to bring down.
Yeah. But anyhow, that's that.
So we traveled to Atlanta this week.
Yep. Going in there to face these guys who, they are salivating. They want 3 division wins in a row. How did that happen? How did Atlanta rise from the ashes like this?
And they have had such abysmal fan attendance this whole season. Mm-hmm. But now that they've gone on this win streak and then they're coming back home, I would just expect that stadium to be... And plus the tickets are probably cheaper.
They're probably giving them away at the door.
Right.
Just to try and get that stadium packed. Which it means something. I mean, you saw Jensen had 2 bad snaps. Both of them were at the goal line, at the end zone, because he said after the game he couldn't hear Winston.
And that's not the first time this season that's happened.
Right. Yeah, and that's in our house. The Saints fans are so loud, it affected the game. We gotta do something about that. So anyhow, the 2 things that everybody's complaining about most, the secondary and the offensive line, I would say, are the 2 things I'm not that worried about, especially the offensive line.
I think everyone's kind of shifted from that to the coaching and the GM. We're at that point of the season.
Yeah, you're always going to get people bitching about the GM. It don't matter who it is.
Right, but then when you're losing like this, it picks up and they kind of gain traction among the fan base, especially when you have people like Trevor Sikkema with the Pewter Report.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. You brought this up years ago, and it's the only thing that can make sense is, when you're losing fans get angry and they want somebody to be punished. They want somebody to be held accountable and pay the price. And so they start calling for people to be fired. Usually it's GMs, coaches, quarterbacks, and it just goes down from there. But what are you going to do? I mean, you get rid of Light. Who do you got to replace him? And I'll be honest with you. I look across the league and I'm like, I don't know who's the good GM and who isn't. I mean, you could say by draft picks and, like with New Orleans, we're sitting here going, how do they get these, they just get these players and they put them in and they work well. I don't think it's the GM. I think it's the coaching.
Yeah, I think so too.
And we've done everything with coaching that we could possibly do. We've gone with young coaches, old coaches, disciplinarians, lax, the veterans, first-timers, defensive coaches, offense. Yeah, and none of it's worked. So I think getting rid of the coach isn't going to work.
No. I think that's the easiest solution. One, you get your pound of flesh, you have someone to point the finger at, and they're easy enough to replace. You can't fire the whole team.
You can't fire the owners.
You can't fire the owners. So
and you can't.
The coaches and the GMs are the most easily replaceable. The coaches you can point at and say, you have the most to do with the game. This is your game plan. This is your team. Mm-hmm. So this is mostly on you. And then the Buccaneers, I think, are at a point where we blame the coach for so long and we've replaced so many coaches that it's really hard to make the case that changing the coach is going to fix it. So people turn on the GM.
And I think it's like what you said. People aren't really wanting to fix it. They're just wanting to punish people. They're angry. You had all this hope and expectation, excitement. You spend all this money, you spend all this time watching, and then it's just lose after loss after loss. You want somebody to pay for it, So
I know I do. Look how many hours we put into this shit. And all the hype in the off season and
hey, we do it for the love of it.
I know.
I got the Bruce Arians Monday press conference. This is a good one because that's when he gets to watch the film and he has more explanation as to what goes wrong and everything. So that'll be at the end of the podcast if you want to stay and listen to that. I still think this is a good team. I don't see, I talk about Devin White as a weakness, but in coverage, he's just young. They're all young back there, and they're taking their lumps. The Bunting had a couple of great plays. He had one that was just fantastic. He undercut an out route. He should have intercepted it, but I think he was so surprised that he got his hands on the ball that he just was like, oh, and dropped it.
I can appreciate your perspective about the players because you can be very matter of fact about their weaknesses without calling for their head at the same time because of it. You just say, this is where this person needs to improve. And you're not making a judgment about them one way or the other. You're not saying this player sucks.
Yeah, I try not to, especially on when I do the videos. I try to keep my opinion out of all of it. Just lay out the stuff so you can see it. And then try to put as little commentary as possible on it. But yeah, I still think we got a good team. I think Devin White has got to get better in his coverage and understand the defense more. He does look confused sometimes out there. I'm not seeing just where our secondary is just getting burned. It's just, but I said that at the beginning of the year. It's just, I don't think our secondary is the issue. I mean, yeah, they're giving up plays, but it's more the underneath stuff. It's the more, guys going across the middle and catching it and, running for 20 yards or 40 yards like Michael Thomas did. And that was a crucial thing because I think we were only a down a score, and that was a third down play. It was 3rd and 3. And they were just basically going for a first down. But he beat Devin White so bad that he ended up running for 40 yards. So I think we got a good team. I really do. Really do. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see everybody come back next year. There's nobody on the team that I go, I could deal with him not being there on the team next year. Nobody like that. I like them all. Now that we got rid of Hargreaves, he's the only one I would have said, I wouldn't be upset if he wasn't here next year. I really like that Jamal Dean. He's just, there's something about him. I don't know what it is. It's just he looks like he's going to be really good. He's just got that, and Bruce Arians says it all the time, that length. He's got that length. He looks like, and we saw it in the game where he made that interception. He could be trailing 3 yards behind the receiver and make the interception because he's just got that length and that closing speed. He can just get right in front of him. He's just got to get comfortable out there playing. And a lot of times, like I said, he would overshoot and would actually have to reach behind him to bat the ball down. So once he gets all that down, I think he's going to be a special player. Whitehead, I really like Whitehead. Edwards, I like Edwards too. Adams, I like Adams. Bunting, he's growing on me. Devin White, I'll be honest with you, I don't think he was worth the top 5 draft pick. I mean, I like the guy, and he's hopefully he'll grow into it. But so far, man, I've just been like, nah, that's not a top 5 pick right there. But hey, we'll see. We'll see.
Did you see Noah Spence got cut by the Redskins?
Oh, I forgot he got on Redskins. Did he ever play?
Yeah, I think he had like 3 tackles.
Really?
In like 5 games, though.
You know, as much as we gripe about us, what are we, 2-7? What are we, 3-7? What are we?
3-7?
We've won 3 games?
That many, huh?
Wow. Check us out. You know, as much as we complain about that, we've got to remember, we are not the Washington Redskins. That's a team that's just, it's going to be a long time before they're any good. Or the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh.
And they're 0-10.
I had no idea they were that bad.
Yeah, they're that irrelevant. I mean, they're a mess.
So we might not have a top 5 draft pick. We might get number 6 or 7 if we play our cards right.
I don't care about draft picks. Don't care. Sorry, that's going to wrap it up for us. Friday, we're going to have Molly's going to do the Know Your Enemy. She's going to have us all stocked and ready for the Atlanta Falcons. It's always a good show. Stay tuned for that. Make sure you're dialed in. You know, you say that, the kids nowadays don't even know what a dial is.
What is that?
That's like the little
kidding.
save icon, which is a floppy disk.
Right.
Yeah, kids have no idea what, or an email icon, which is a actual letter. They don't know what those things are. That's an email icon, and that's a
remember
save icon.
Our son gave him a birthday card, and he goes, "Look, I got an email."
That's right.
I had no idea.
He got an email.
Yeah, I got an email.
Yeah. So when I say dial in, all you old people, you know what I'm saying.
Okay, boomer.
I'm not a boomer, thank you. Or tune in. You can't even say tune in. Gosh, I don't even know what to say. I'm not hip anymore. That's not even cool to say. Being hip is not hip.
Every time I have to Urban Dictionary a new slang term, a little piece of my soul dies.
Yeah, okay. So anyhow, we're going to just say, listen to our podcast Friday.
There we go.
You can tune in or dial in or email in or teleport in, whatever the kids are saying now. Minecraft in. Until next time.
Go Bucks.
There's no secret. It's turnovers. And, this team, we have a gift habit. We get given away points early in games and then try to fight our way back. It was a 10-point game. We had 3 or 4 possessions to get it within 1 and just couldn't get it done. Really good football team we're playing. And when you make those kind of mistakes, you're not going to win against a really good team. But it's been a habit, and it's one that we have to break. No matter whose fault it is, it's been a habit of a gift early in the first quarter and then playing hard from there on out. I think as a team, it's frustrating as a coach because I see us practicing and preparing extremely hard. I mean, guys are staying extra hours to prepare, but then it's not showing up on Sunday. And for me as a coach, it's my job to figure out why. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
It looked like there was a miscommunication on that pick 6 from Marcus Williams with Jameis and Mike. Do you have any clarity on that?
It was just a high throw. When he had his ankle, that's when he sprained his ankle, and he just threw it high.
How much did that impact his ability to step into his throws?
It was huge on that one. It kind of shook it off after that, but that one cost him.
In terms of him staying in, kind of closing out the game, is he at a point where he can pretty much dictate if he wants to close the game if he's physically?
Oh, yeah, if he's healthy, he's playing.
Coach, you mentioned preparation. Did the Saints do anything different from a blitzing standpoint that you weren't expecting?
They do something different every week. They have a really good package every week. But it was the ones that we saw, the one that got us. The guy starts dropping and then he blitzes, and we didn't pick that one up and see it as a hot. Overall, we protected it. We just didn't protect it well enough.
Is that the one with Kiko Alonso?
Yes.
Why do you think the Saints were so much more able to get the ball to their key offensive personnel in the first half than your offense was?
One was a busted assignment. We're playing 2-man. You stay inside. Mike Edwards gets beat inside, gives up. The 2 plays to Michael Thomas. One's a busted assignment on a drag route, and it was Levante, not Devin. The other, we walked through on Friday. Sean's supposed to be up there pressed, so he doesn't get picked. He backs up. He gets picked. It's a touchdown. So was it them or was it us? I think it's us, really. And they have a lot of weapons. That's one thing. You can only take away one, And when you have Alvin Kamara, he can do a lot of things for you. But again, he catches the ball 4 yards. We wrap him up as 4-yard gain. We don't make the tackle at 17.
At the end of the day, I know you got behind, but you can't really. Is it too much to put on a quarterback to ask him to be like 96% of your offense?
Yeah, totally. You throw it 51 times. Show me who wins. Brady a couple of times. Not always. But you throwing it 51 times and running it at 8, you're probably not winning the game.
This was the most we've seen with Scotty Miller on Sunday. He had like 35 snaps, a bunch of targets, obviously the big catch. I don't know how much of that is other people not playing or how much you're seeing him improve.
Oh, he's improving. And, we knew that they were going to double. So Cam Brake gets 12 targets. Scotty gets a bunch of targets. So those inside guys had to win. And, we were losing our back in the protection scheme. And so Scotty he produced. I just would like to see him go one more yard where he's supposed to be for that first down.
Do you have any concerns that Jameis' ankle will be an issue this week?
No, he looks fine right now. He's a little dump, but he's okay.
What about Will Golston? I saw he had a boot on in the hallway.
Yeah, we'll see.
Coach, we understand that it's a week-to-week league, but you got 6 games left. What's your approach?
Win them all. You can't win them all till you win one. And, division on the road and a team that's similar to us. They're playing really well right now and kind of have found their stride after the open date. And a lot of changes coaching staff-wise, but they're playing with a lot of energy, and it's showing on tape.
I don't know how much you had a chance to look at Atlanta, but, these last 2 games are wildly different from what they were the first 8 weeks of the season. Any sense of where the biggest difference is?
Yeah, they simplified. It looks like defensively they're playing really, really fast, and they're not very complicated. And the front four is teeing off and doing a heck of a job. And offensively, they're moving the ball, scoring points.
You've had a lot of changes on defense, not just because of injuries, but personnel, young guys. Like yesterday with Edwards, playing in a unique position. Can that learning curve sometimes keep guys from playing fast? And
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. But, sometimes it's just basic fundamentals. You're playing 2-man. You don't get beat inside. You don't take that fake. You force him out. And so, yeah, that part of it. And that's Mike's natural position. We were going to play a lot of matchup zone, blitz him because he's a good blitzer. And other than 2 plays, he played pretty well. Yeah, misses 1 tackle and misses that play right there.
Is that something you deal with the next 6 games, looking at him in nickel, or does he go back to safety?
We'll see. I want Jamel Dean on the field, though.
Where do you think you've seen the most improvement this year so far? You still got 6 games left, but where do you think you're really? You stopped the run, obviously, for the most part.
Yeah, we picked our poison with this one,
Right.
Yeah, so I think the run defense has been pleasing all year. I think our run offense has been pleasing majority of the time when we can use it, when we can use it.
You had 8 passes completed to Ronald Jones last week and everything. Was there, and I know it was difficult to get him involved just, from a pure running standpoint, but, was there any plan for this week or thought to getting him more involved in that capacity, especially considering how much Dennis Allen was blitzing?
He was in his normal screen game and everything else. Darius a better pass blocker, and when we're in 2 minutes, he's in the game, which we were a bunch.
Well, and to that point as well, I know that you guys used Dari twice at the goal line there, and because you were in 2 minutes trying to get down the field, where are Ronald and where are Peyton at in terms of their ability to maybe handle that type of situation?
Yeah, that's not either one of them's forte.
Bruce, outside linebacker, you guys have been leaning a lot on Shaq and JPP paying 90-95% of snaps. Nassib had practiced last week. Is that something where he might be able to be back?
I hope he tweaked it on Thursday. Knock on wood, he's out there this week.
You mentioned you turn the ball over. Not getting turnovers has been an issue too.
Yeah.
At some point, those have to start coming.
They got to start, and usually when they come in bunches, hopefully they'll come in bunches this week, and it's a coverage getting sacks, rush getting coverage. It all goes hand in hand, When we had good rushes, Drew did a good job of just finding a check down, getting 4 or 5, getting 4 and 5. That's what he does best.
Yeah.
We're near the later portion of the season, but guys are saying they're still having communication issues on both sides of the ball. Where do you think that's coming from, or what do you think is causing that to happen?
I did not see too many communication issues in this ball game. We had poor technique, but the missed assignments were not communication errors, other than the bad snap when he couldn't hear down on the goal line twice, and that's on the center. If you can't hear, tell the quarterback to use a siren count.
What's the? When you say poor technique, is that just guys losing
losing their leverage, like Mike on that one, Sean on the touchdown play? Get up there where you can't get picked, and get in outside technique and push him into the safety. Right. Don't back up. Don't get beat inside when there's no help inside.
Are they not panicking? Are they seeing things or not trusting their reads?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But when Todd kept them after practice Friday, all right, walk through that play. All right, walk through that exact play, and we don't do it. It's called youth. I'm glad I don't have any hair.
One more thing, you knew when you were with Carson Palmer, you knew him intimately, you knew your quarterbacks with Ben. How much do you think Dirk Cutter knows Jameis after 4 years with him, and is that at all? This league is full of guys that move on.
Yeah, I think it's a different offense. He knows the guy, and I would imagine he's saying it's the same old stuff, right. But I don't think right now they're changing what they're doing defensively because they're playing really good and playing fast.
I know they played a lot of cover 2 against you guys yesterday. Were you expecting them to do that? Because I know Mike had also said before that they switched it up on you as well when you played the Saints.
Yeah, that's what they do. They play 2-man. But then when they were playing single high, we missed it. Right? When Mike was open deep, and we just didn't get it done.
Something on OJ, that play, he said he kind of looked up, to see where the contact was going to be and didn't secure the ball. Obviously took his eye off the ball. Those are fundamental things, right? But when guys aren't playing well, when it's focus, how do you get that focus back that seems to be lacking in some respects?
I never believed in sports psychology before, but I'm starting to. There's something missing when you have talent and it doesn't show up on Sunday, or it's a focus issue.
Or could you press, maybe?
That's a big part of it too.
Do you think that may have been one of the reasons why O.J. Howard, inexplicably kind of juggled the ball behind him early in the game?
Yeah.
That's the play we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.